So Reese, so someone buys a composition, and what happens next after they decide to commission a piece with you?
There's a series of questions that I always have to ask the ensemble to sort of provide some framework for the commission in terms of structure, purpose, difficulty level, what kind of choir it's for, and all those things. So I got to get all those things in mind first, and then we just hopefully dream together.
Okay. Well, speaking of dreaming together, how do you work with the commissioner to collaborate on a piece?
Of course, as I mentioned, just a general framework from them first. And typically when people commission, it's for some significant event. There are incredible people out there who sort of make it their life's ambition to just regularly commission, to use their position in their ensemble just to bring new music into the world, which is a great thing if it's something that you have the ability to do. But most don't. Most commission, if they do, maybe it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing. What I want is to be able to sense the bigger picture. What are they really trying to accomplish with the purpose behind? And if I don't get their dream, I'll ask them to share with me again and again until I do. Because really that's important. That's sort of the impetus for the creative process, is that because my assumption is if I don't really understand their dream, then I'm going to miss the mark. There's no way I can give them what they really... most people who commission a song can't define exactly what the song looks like. They don't have any idea what it's supposed to sound like. But oftentimes we paint pictures in our mind. We have some ideas of something. We just don't always have the capabilities to articulate that. And so I think it's my job as the commissioning composer to find that dream and then turn it into that unspoken picture.
Well, speaking of significant events in life, Will, you won the commission piece last year at the silent auction for Gala del Rio. Why did you choose to have that commissioned for and at your wedding?
So my at the time fiance and I both shared a love for music and a passion for choral singing, and Reese Norris has been a big part of my life since 8th grade when I joined the Nato Middle School choir, and I knew that I wanted to do something for Katie that was different, that was I'm not a very romantic guy, I'm not very original, but I know a guy who is, so I leaned on his expertise and asked, when I originally won the commission, asked him if it would be something he'd be willing to do, and it was a little bit of a shorter time frame to do this commission than I think was expected, but fortunately he willingly did it and helped me out, and so I thought it would be a surprise for Katie. So at the wedding, she didn't know. I managed to hide it the whole way through, and so we stepped out for one song right after we had taken communion, and surprised her with the song and had the words right there. And so it was a special moment for her and for me and our family, and just to be able to have that moment through music, through someone that I knew and someone who is as good as Reese is, to be able to put that dream, as he said, into writing and into music was just a special moment. So went way better than I ever could have expected initially.
So what did the collaboration look like on your part? So did you help choose text?
Yeah, so originally had the idea of I could do a song, and so he agreed to do it and asked me for poems that I liked, and so I looked through some poems and found some ideas, maybe even sent a couple ideas to him at one point, but then sat down with my cousin Ruth, who is the real poet behind this, and I just kind of freely spoke what was kind of on my mind, words that were important to Katie and to me, and life events that had happened and memories that we shared. And so she was able to really craft those words into a flowing poem and make it a lot more artistic than I could say it. And so when she, we bounced around the ideas back and forth for a couple weeks, and then sent it to Reese, and he was able to. Immediately I could tell, he was able to see the dream, what was happening, and he asked me a lot of questions, what was in my mind, and I, in my mind I had certain songs that I was thinking of, and asked if he'd heard of this song or that song, and he had not, which was great because I was glad because it really was something original. So I kind of gave him the pattern of how I thought it would go, and he put it to work, and then a few weeks later came back with I think the first. It was really close to the finished product. It was beautiful, and then talked a little bit more about some of the words and how they worked out through the song, and he was really he not many composers would put the word ice cream in their song, but he bravely did it and got in all the important words that to most people may just pass by, but to Katie I think had a lot of significant meaning. So for my part it was really easy. He did all the heavy lifting. I just got to have the dream, and he got to make it reality. So
okay. So Reese, after he gave you the text and these song suggestions, how else did you get inspiration for this piece?
Will is a unique personality in that he has obviously, as he mentioned, a passion for music and a lot of music education and experiences that sort of colored his thoughts and ideas. And he also had a lot of strong opinions and thoughts, but Will's guidance was gentle, and it was, I don't want to use the word aloof, but his guidance was like a Monet painting or the melody in a Debussy piece. It was just vague concepts, which really, it gave me a lot of clarity into what he was looking for, but did not stifle creativity. Too much input from the commissioner, I don't know how that would work. So it was really the perfect combination of give and take.
So each commissioner's input kind of looks a little different.
Yeah, Will and he and I are close friends, and not everybody gets to write a song that's going to be sung by the Westminster Choir, but some commissions are for organizations in other parts of the country, and they say, my choir, give it to me in January. Mm-hmm. And that really is the extent of their input. Wow. They don't care what I write about. They have no input. They know, for instance, if it's Cincinnati Children's Choir, that was exactly Robin Lana, who is one of those who breathed new music almost every year into existence. That was her input to me. She said, my choir, their capabilities, what they sound like, write something for them. I trust you. And then some, of course, this commission was more personal, and so I was happy to have that feedback. So yeah, everyone is a very, very different experience.
Okay. How do you decide on voicing, instrumentation? Do you pass that along to the commissioner? Do you collaborate with them on that? Or is it, once again, just depending upon how involved they want to be?
Right. Well, voicing is almost 100% determined by the commissioner. Because when someone commissions me, they're commissioning for a specific ensemble to perform. And that ensemble, of course, has their own voicing, whether it's a treble choir, how many parts do you want? If it's SATB choir, they tell me that. And even as far as divisi goes, they give me the indication of how much divisi or ifili for the choir. Difficulty level, again, determined by the ensemble. If I don't know the ensemble, I ask a lot of leading questions so that I can get some feedback from them as far as how much they think the choir can handle, also based on how much time they're going to have to prepare the piece. Instrumentation, typically if there's anything very specific that they want up front, they can tell me that. A typical commission will provide choral music, either a cappella or accompanied by piano and up to one additional instrument. Anything above that would be an added expense, so part of the negotiation in the process of the commission.
So just for fun, what's your favorite add-on instruments? You've got piano, so what's your favorite other?
Oh, cello.
Cello.
And my standards, I've written for horn a couple of times, but cello is definitely my favorite. And specifically, I like cello across the board. I could just listen to cello all day with piano, but specifically with treble, because it provides that depth of sound and that timbre that you don't get with the treble choir. It just, I don't know.
So you've composed for a wedding. You've composed for the Cincinnati Children's Choir, like you said. So what other occasions have you had the opportunity to commission pieces for?
20th anniversary for another organization in North Carolina. For a lot of times when choir is going to perform at a big event like their state conference or a divisional conference, they want to do something special and unique, and so they'll reach out for a commission. And sad occasions, more than one occasion, been a commission to write songs as a memorial for someone special. Graduations.
So along with weddings, like you said, and the other things that you've done, what other things could you see, what other occasions could you see commissioning pieces for? So give our audience an idea of what they could commission a piece for.
You bet. I made you a list. Graduations is a great one. Even kindergarten graduations are important. Anniversaries, milestone birthdays, major church celebrations, gifts for the guy who has everything. I bet he doesn't have a commission. So there could be one. And also, keep in mind that you could also create a consortium. In other words, 2, 3, or more people could team together and purchase the commission as a group. If they have similar interests, if they want to have it written for a specific ensemble, for a specific event, and it offsets the cost for the individual and gets the same results.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time to chat with me today. So mark your calendars for May 1st through May 2nd. Get your credit cards ready to bid on a Reese Norris composition, and we will see you there online for the virtual Unconcert.